Well, hello! You're most welcome back to Gmodism. This is your host Eric, and today we're gonna do some empirical testing. Yeah, indeed, I had some thought about steam engines, so I thought that, man, we should really do some tests and stuff like that. Oh, by the way, you see this like custom background we have there in the background? We had them made for us with the help of our Kevin in the Discord, and anyone can download them, and if you download them, you'll have them there together with the other in-game faction stuff too, so you can get those. I don't know, I think it's pretty cool, but you can see, very nice. We're just gonna make a super simple testing platform, and what we're basically going to do is we're going to use the different types of steam, small, medium and large, and see which of them can actually give us the best speed. Now, I will imagine that it does depend on a lot of more factors, of course, so it's a little bit hard to test when you're not in a testing environment, which is why this little video exists. We're just making this little testing platform thing so that we can test this out in detail. And we're basically pitching different engines against each other and see which one of them provides the most reasonable results. Yeah, I have a lot of tutorials and stuff planned, but do remember that if you feel like there is something specific that I haven't covered in a tutorial recently, you can always remind me. Of course, I am eventually going to make all the tutorials that I've put on my list, naturally. But if you want to give something some type of prio, you know, it's of course very helpful for me if people actually tell me what they feel is important. And the easiest way to do that is, of course, like the comments, or possibly the Discord as well. If you're not in the Discord, you might want to join there to get some from the depth interested people, perhaps. I'm just making this little wedge here in the front to kinda make it have ish the equal drag for the different systems. Because I do know that different engines are of different sizes. And if we have this little shield in the front, the drag will kind of be similar. Now these are some floaty blocks. To counter this, I think we should have a little bit of heaviness in the bottom. I think we're gonna go with metal. We don't want to have something too, making it us too slow. That wouldn't be good. Just a big sheet like this. I think that can be like a weird little testing sled of some kind. And to... is it just me that find the water like texture going up and down like that a little bit distracting? Probably only me. So I'm gonna make a little platform to have on top of it. Now I feel like we should do like this. Only 100 meters long. How are we supposed to build? Well, I of course know it's this. This short distance. Reasonable? Yes, indeed. All right. Here we have a nice little testing platform. So what I saw a little bit when I was looking in the different setup for the steam engines was that they were giving a kind of limited amount of max speed. So I don't particularly like these, but I think we're gonna have one of this like pre-made ones, and a big cargo container should be a fitting addition. Actually, Alt-N. What? Thank you. I was clicking the Windows button. 2 of these. I think that's fine. So we have some heaviness in the bottom. That's because we're not gonna flip around or anything. Right. So now we're producing like engine power. We are obviously going to... Whoops. Thank you. Refill here. Now we have 10,000 engine power. So in the steam engines, we have these little guys going on here. Actually, I realize we want this central plane. Otherwise, I don't know which is center. So here we have one of them. Now, obviously, I placed it the wrong direction. I get a large shaft. Perhaps it should go lower down. Yeah, we're far too floaty. I'm gonna have it down here. And I think we should do a similar little drag shield thing here, so we have similar results. Like that. It's reasonable. And we set up a little shaft here so we can connect up. Because now we're like beginning with large. We're gonna have a large 5-meter propeller like this. I basically want to see what's the like max speed we can have on stuff here. Because we have some different settings to set in there. And you can see when we hover over, it has a max speed of 80 meters per second. And they all have kind of the same max speed, it looks like. That's weird. And the real funny thing is that the small propeller, you can see we have a 3-meter small propeller with a max thrust of 21,000. Why? Like yeah, it's 21,000. And if we compare that to the 3-meter medium, it's actually smaller. It's like 18,000. So the smaller one actually provides a better max thrust. But we kind of saw some other results when we were looking a little bit in the upgrading Martin Sitopans Yamato video. Yeah, that they can't use as much speed, and of course we can't use like small shaft with small crank motors with a medium propeller. They all have to be from the same line here for some reason. Well, anyways, we're beginning with this one, so we're gonna have manual control. I'm gonna just set the drive to a constant value there so we can kind of see how fast it goes. Right, so here we can see it's having full connection here. We can see it's slowly actually spinning up to our desired RPM. So we're going to make this menu be visible here. So what if we set up the... This is a little bit annoying. So if you lock a tooltip, you can't enter other menus. That's annoying. Right, so we have an RPM now of like closing into 200. But what if we set the max RPM to that value? You can see we are getting very close to the max RPM. Not quite there though, but we are gaining speed. No, not anymore. 25, 26, 27. So increasing this a little bit here. See where we have some kind of spot where it won't go higher. It's a little bit funny that we can't hear this propeller because it looks like it should sound a lot. And the RPM is closing in like that. It's we'll obviously have a faster power response, but the limitation of the RPM, I don't know if that's very useful, to be honest. If we set this to like RPM factor to like pretty like slow, we should be able to spin up with this like instantly. And then it should use the motor power Yeah, it's kind of already spun up like that. It's very fast. And it uses so little power here. Even if we have like the maximum power output, so it probably only uses like max power during the acceleration. No, it kinda doesn't, does it? No. If we use it to 1 then, now we're using full engine power, okay. So now we have a potential RPM of 160. I'm a little bit like curious if we set this to a max RPM factor, because I was like assuming that it will accelerate faster if we have another type of setting there. But if we're like still here, we're like gaining speed pretty fast actually. It like spins up and it seems to be staying there, so yeah, if we just go here from 0 speed to 1, 2, 3, it almost instantly goes to 29 meters per second. And it's gonna be a little bit interesting to see how much engine power. We're not using full engine power here, yeah. It's a little bit weird because you think that if you set the RPM factor, you kind of change the gear ratio and you kind of make it better in another way, but it honestly doesn't seem like it. So that's a little bit interesting thing. The max RPM factor should probably never be set to lower, but I guess it can be different in case we switch like the drive pretty often. Like if we go backwards instead, you can see it takes some time to change directions, right? It's gonna see here, if we set this to like a lower value, whoops. Just waiting to get up to speed here. I guess this is about the fastest speed we might reach. We set that to like backwards. It's not significantly faster. That turnaround ratio isn't significantly faster. Good to know. I always assumed that having a high RPM value would just make it a little bit more strong in like lower RPMs or something. But honestly, if there is a difference, the difference is so small that we don't really need to care about it. It's possible it could be different for rollers or something like that, but honestly I don't think it's a good idea. It's not even worth testing, because if we have a lower RPM value, we're obviously going to have a decreased strength basically on that propeller. Well, anyways, with this type of setup, we are using a good bit of energy, of course, but we are able to reach a reasonable speed here. We're creating some drag, of course, but yeah, this little propeller gives us decent things. However, I wonder, in case we should perhaps instead just see what like the largest steam propeller does just right away, having a resting drive. There we go. And now, this is a little bit interesting. In this case, we are slowly climbing the ladder here. But if we are like sitting and slowly spinning up, we're reaching 20, 30 meters per second pretty fast. Just gonna test with the RPM factor here if it remains the same. That was a little bit interesting. I wonder if we saw some other results there. And the speed goes to 30 very quickly. 39, 40. Maybe it gets out of water a little bit. It seems to not. 33. And if the RPM factor is higher, does it give more thrust? It seems to slow down a little bit, honestly. The RPM is slowing down here. Okay, so in this case, the gear ratio is not like really there. It slows down it too much. When we only have one propeller, we actually have a area here where the RPM is getting lower. So this is good to know. So if you have many propellers, having the max RPM ratio is of course useful, because then you'll have a higher potential max speed. But in this case here, it seems that it's worth lowering this RPM to possibly get a higher speed. Because now the RPM is still dropping here. So we're like below 100. This is a little bit weird. What if we set the RPM to... This is obviously too slow. Yeah. Set it to maybe like 0.9. Now we're able to climb. But I wonder. Yeah, it's a little bit weird at this. Or maybe actually not. It seems to be balancing out here at 90 RPM. And then we have the max value. If we tune this down slightly, it's still not gaining RPM. It just seems to be difficult to get this higher than 90 RPM in general. So even though the potential RPM, if we set like the RPM to like 118 or whatever, we should be able to get to that RPM faster, but that's just not how it works. So yeah, honestly, it seems that we maybe just been sidetracking a little bit here. It should always be on 2. Very few areas where it seems to be useful, if any, probably not any. Maybe if you don't have enough engine power, you can limit the RPM, stuff like that. But otherwise, if you have enough engine power, which you probably should have anyways, it seems to be completely useless, to be honest. Oh well. I wonder if this is the fastest speed we have achieved. I think actually in this case we have a better ability to make it faster with the 5 meter one for the large. This seems to have the most reasonable speeds. Now this is actually slower. The 5 meter one is 26, 27. So the largest one is getting us to a faster speed, whoops, in a better way. Definitely. So you can see here it is indeed gaining to... yeah, it's going over 30 sometimes. Not now, just because I said that. Right, so medium then. We should then be moving on to medium. We get this a little smaller. It kind of feels almost a bit tiny. Medium shaft. And then go up with medium propellers. I guess we'll begin with the larger one like this. Nope. Say resting drive. Right. So we're spinning up to speed. Are we? Why is it going? We're like going a little bit weird. Game speed is basically full speed. That's good. It's wondering. It's like it's a bit slow with thrust direction. Why? It's like it goes less deep for some reason. Let me just check. So that's there no kind of difference like that. 15 meters per second. It's like a big difference, actually. Like a really big difference. And obviously we have the fact that the medium crank motor only takes, what is it? It says inside it. Maximum 600 power. It's like comparable to if we go to water. These ones, oh damn. These propellers use like max, huge one is 400, okay. So a single one of these lets us go. Now we use all of the engine power though. It's interesting. What if we lower the max RPM? Does it still have no effect, I wonder? It seems to not be able to go much faster than this. It's a little bit sad. Just for comparison, I just thought that it could be a little bit interesting to see how it would be with a huge propeller instead. If we have this one as a max drive. We are gaining a thrust of 10,000, which is providing 11 meters per second, okay. And before this one, we have a thrust that far exceeds this value. So yeah, it's almost twice as strong. Now, we're not comparing costs here. We're only thinking about top speed. Can change back the RPM factor. Yeah, all right. What if we have a medium propeller of 3 meters instead? Nope. We'll set it. Just wanted to make sure that pitch angle wasn't set to anything weird. Here we are actually gaining. It spins faster, but we're not going. No, it needs to use all that engine power to output this thrust. It's obviously nowhere near. Nah, it's obviously nowhere near where we would need it to be to provide a good speed. Only 1,000 motor power, but again, it does provide more thrust than a single propeller like that. Obviously, the small one is going to use even less. So for this particular setup, we are going to go slower. Can try this one. And in this case, we have a max power use of, it's like really small, 120. It's so slow. Yeah, we're obviously able to go up to pretty low thrust. Yeah, this gets us nowhere. It really doesn't. Now we, however, have this thing, which have the potential of giving a higher thrust than the medium one. The medium 3 meter, that is. Because this thing has a 21,600 versus 18,000. But obviously the motor power used is so slow. The RPM we're getting here is like really bad. I wonder in this case where we're using all that and we just can't bring the RPM much higher, if it can be a good idea to have a max RPM factor to something lower. And perhaps we can like gain RPM. Can it reach 60 if it, no? It really seems that, nah. We're just trying to trick ourselves here. It doesn't matter very much. 29.6, yeah. And if we drag this down to basically 81. Yeah, not much difference at all. No, not at all actually, seems like. Right then, comparing the crank motors, it's basically the larger it is, the better. You can see this one has 5,000 health. And this one has 600 health, and the medium one only costs 250, but the large one costs like 500. So per like health, the large ones are so much better. Seems to be 3,600. We go to, okay, this one is 10,000, all right. And the medium one of the same size, also 10,000. So it seems that that's pretty equal, at least. There is something there that's similar. Well, good to know then. But using the larger the better. It's as simple as that, basically. Now, I want to test a little bit here, just in between. Steam thrusters. So they can take a lot of materials, but they can provide a pretty insane thrust. Can we stick and right on? Yeah, we can. Wow. I didn't know that. So 5,000 steam per second. This is pretty funny though. So then I am immediately wondering, steam per second, 150, 2,000, 3,000. This is, yeah, this is almost top. Steam per second, all right. And if we add one on top of here, steam, yeah, look at that. We're actually, this one, is this giving thrust? Just manual control, resting drive like this? I'm not sure. Perhaps, okay, this is rendering now. So yeah, this is giving like full thrust. This is like, we can have that as a little prefab, and we can basically have thrust, a little steam thruster using 5 materials per second, kind of exactly, and providing a flat thrust of 10,000. I think we need to, that's comparable to the water propeller. Huge, which is also providing about 10,000 thrust. So this one is a pretty, like, yeah, this one is a pretty good, like, system. It can be used for constant thrust. Now, I do imagine that we could make some kind of steering thrusters and stuff with steam. I haven't played around with steam thrusters too much, to be honest. Okay, gotta be connected this way. But if we had a steam tank, like this, I suppose, maybe this direction, and no, it isn't connected. So perhaps they need, well, let's just connect a little steam jet on top of here. And they seem to be able to basically not connect, which is not great. But if we add a little bit of a pipe between, can this then, yeah, we're gaining pressure here. So this one has steam, just a simple 10,000, and this one has 30,000 stored up like that. So if we set this to like resting drive, you can see we're providing a thrust here. And this one is, yeah. So this can be pretty interesting. If we need to activate this, not all the time, only sometimes, using a steam tank, we're saving like 10 materials. And since this is additional 5 that we need instead, we're saving like 5 materials. And considering the steam jet is like, okay, this doesn't make sense. It's a cool idea if the steam storage tanks were super cheap, which they honestly should be, because right now I don't see they have much use. Have like a little bit better armor, but seriously, this is it's pretty useless. Yeah, we might as well have like full thrusters. The only thing that this has is if we instead have 3, I wonder, then we have like a whole thrust, we have 30,000 storage. And now we have 10,000 plus 30,000, so 40,000. So we gain an extra 10,000 in storage, but honestly at this point I think it's better to have like half size like this. Now I'm wondering though, perhaps if we should make this shorter. I just want to check basically what happens if we set up a steam system and we have the pressure slowly ticking down. Will the thrust be a bad percentage or not? Having this type is of course having much less. I imagine we don't need to have full thrusting force when we're having a steering type of thruster. And just to check here, we don't have EMP susceptibility there. Oh, but the steam jets, they are actually EMP susceptible. So then it's really important that we actually don't use piping, because then we need also steam valves, but they are also EMP susceptible, so that doesn't make any sense. Now, it's the only way to connect them up is probably just like this. Just have them flat on like that. It's probably a much better idea. All right. Then I guess, I wonder if we can have like a steam like straight on here. Unfortunately, we need to use the large one, or this medium one. And this one is producing, that's like 100,000. Nice. So this obviously is a system that makes more sense, just having one of this. And if this gets shots off, the cool thing is that we don't have any issues there. We can provide a straight thrust like this, no problem at all. Yeah, cool. All right, so I may have gotten sidetracked for a couple of minutes here. I just accidentally played around a little bit with steam thrusters. So I made a couple of templates. That happens. And you can see here, I turned some of them on here. And as you can see, they're not very like efficient. Each one of these just take 5 materials every second. So I basically made a couple of auxiliary and a couple of main ones. And you can see we can get up to like 20 meters per second, but seriously, this is like, I mean, it's space efficient, I suppose. But damn, this is a little bit expensive, so and we're not going that fast. So the only good thing here is that we could use it for making an aircraft. But yeah, when that update drops, there will be these as well, the steam engines, S-Corp steam engines going on here. I thought they looked pretty cool. Anyways. If you're a commissioned officer, that is via Patreon, of course, and I should also take the opportunity to thank them indeed. So huge thanks to the commissioned officers in the Army of Gmodism, most notably Commodore Owen or Captain Shuro, Commander Morden, Lieutenant Anto Cravey, Drew, Floros, Parbagreed, Vincent, Rick, and Skurox. Thanks a lot for supporting the channel every month. It really helps me out. And of course, thanks to all the cadets and those in the ecclesiarchy who you'll have early access to videos in the ecclesiarchy. That's YouTube members. YouTube membership and commissioned officers in the Army of Gmodism are different things. If anyone didn't know that, I should say it an extra time. Anyways, if you have access to these downloadable files, or if you just copy them from some file that's on the workshop, which I need to update the image files for, god damn it, you can see the naming like convention here. If it has A in the name, it is a small steam. If it has B in the name, it's medium steam. And if it has C in the name, it is a big steam. Just so you know, if you didn't know that, you know now. Very nice. All right, so we just cleaned them up there. Now we at least know that the steam engines aren't exactly worthwhile. And if we only have one steam engine going in here, we're not gaining a lot of speed. This is probably only useful for hydrofoils and the like, but honestly, if we're gonna have a steam engine on board, we should probably have like a proper steam engine that actually has proper propulsion, you know? Yeah, indeed. A measly 11 meters per second isn't exactly great, so I think we should indeed actually just shift and delete still system here and set up some proper steam engine propulsion. So we have some different setups to use. We obviously need them to speed up to the right RPM. Like seriously, I don't think we need that many of them. Like that, I think we don't need a lot of cylinders. We just need to make sure they're not generating engine power. Actually, this is a little bit, whoops, funny here. We got some prefabs. I wonder if we have them making some... No, I don't think we have a couple of them making thrust right off. Perhaps underwater in that case, no? That's like the most useful thing to have as a prefab thing, I would imagine. But, well, whatever. We're just gonna plop down our own systems then. I suppose we're gonna start with the small this time. So clicking F instead of G does that. Well, anyways. Crank like this. I'm actually thinking it can be a little bit more useful if we like test them down here, because then we can really make a very tight system. We have the gearbox here. Maximum power generation is 0. Just gonna have a small piston, set it up there. And then on top of this, like directly on this, we're gonna have a 1 meter propeller. Now this is not like the proper way to set it up. It really isn't, but I wanted to just show that if we do it this way, how much will it limit speed? Because I know it will limit speed a little bit, but honestly, I don't know how much it will limit speed. So being an empirical testing video, I would say that's quite useful to know. I imagine we can use the same boiler for all of them, honestly. So we can see here. Before steam actually damaged themselves when they spun up in too high RPM. Look, can manage to limit that. So here we have a RPM of 180. And we're basically giving this a full thrust. Not surprised. And if we switch that to a little larger one, it's obviously gonna give it full thrust. Yeah. Gaining a pretty solid like 16-ish meters per second. I think this is pretty decent. And we have set it to constant weather too, so this is not a factor that will jump around. Obviously, we are going to add a transmission instead, so we can keep or increase the RPM a little bit there. We may need to add more cylinders, but as long as we're getting up to the max thrust ratio, we are actually set. It's absolutely fine. Honestly, I don't know. Can we put it right on? No, we cannot. We'll need a little shot. Provided it's in the right direction, right? There we go. And the stupid thing, if you connect the steam engine like right off, you are of course limiting it. We're gonna set this ratio to, oh! This goes to 360 RPM. Oh, I see. Okay. So that's why. So the small, the other ones, they're going to 240 and the small transmission goes to 360 RPM. And we obviously have no trouble reaching this. 2,400 thrust. So if we use a small 3 meter, it's like covering the entire space. I always set up the wrong value. There we go. Yeah, spinning up to speed. Gear ratio is maxed out. Kinetic energy gaining. And thrust is slowly increasing here. The RPM is like pretty decent there. I guess that having a couple of more cylinders like this, especially if they were parallel, would obviously make it spin up a little bit faster as well. So I'm just gonna test and add another one here. Not in a neat way or anything, just a simple. And here you can see we're gaining on the thrust a lot faster here. Obviously this also probably doubles the energy consumption, but this is just about what a steam thruster is taking anyways. And we are already at 18 meters per second. But honestly, it seems a little bit difficult for it to reach this value here. The RPM isn't wanting to climb to the max one here. We are ticking up pretty slowly. So I guess we have to have a lot of these to make it remotely usable then. Now, what if then? What if we add a bunch of these and just set that up here? Now we may need to upgrade this steam engine, however, but something like that. Whoa. Now we're leaking a little bit there. I wonder where I set. There we go. Now it's probably set up as it should be. Yeah. And now the pressure is slowly. Okay, we're gaining here. So this is pretty interesting. I think this could be something here. Ah, look at that. We are definitely bypassing what we had earlier. This is enough. We're of course up to max. We'll need to wait for the pressure to go up. All right, there we have full pressure. So now we can assume they are getting everything it needs. And the thrust is, it's not easy to make it thrust those 43,000. I'll say that. We work hard and we are gaining, of course, but we're not really there to 30,000 thrust. And we are like at 20 meters per second. I mean, it's good, I guess, but compare that to the steam. This is taking 10 materials per second. And we are easily getting these speeds if we have just large like steam motors, shaft motors, like these large crank motors. That is crazy. Yeah. This is not the most reliable, easy setup. It is really not. We're not getting higher than 246 RPM, apparently. I wonder if we like look at something wasteful here. Yeah, all right. Let's test next size. Medium it is. Now medium steam engines is like the jack of no trades. I think it's a little bit worse in every regard than small or large. So yeah, small has their use and large has their use. The unfortunate thing, however, is that the medium ones, they look pretty cool. Like aesthetically, I like them. So I kind of use them a little bit anyways. But sometimes I'm feeling pretty alone doing that. Oh, they're so clunky. Like, can we like stick him right on top like this? We actually can. I don't know if I've... okay, we obviously have to do some super compact steam engine. This is too funny. Obviously, we probably don't use this much, but here we got one. So let's slap a single easy, just medium propeller on this then. Yeah, look at that, 150 RPM coming in at no issues. This is currently burning 4 materials per second, and we are sitting at a 22 meters per second speed. Basically reach max. Yeah. This is like pretty nice. I can kind of see we could do something pretty compact with this. I actually think that the Fred Battlecruiser I made does have a medium steam propeller system connected up. It obviously has transmissions, but I just wanted to see what type of speed we get without a transmission. So let's add a little transmission. They come in 2 ways. And a little shot. I feel I should probably set up some shortcuts. All right. We're gonna set that to the max ratio. And I think, do we have enough steam? We do. But it kind of complains a little bit. I think the engine might be a little bit on the weaker side here. We're just setting up a pretty simple serial system like this. And it will obviously create a lot of thrust like this. No power generation. Getting up to full speed, absolutely no problem. Gear ratio max, there we go. Thrust 90,000, that's over 9,000. RPM 300, no problems at all. We are gaining speed. We're at 34. This is decent speed, it really is. For the cost of 10 materials per second. Yeah. And that's, I guess, 34, 35 meters per second is probably as good as it gets, because the medium steam propeller, like obviously, it's not gonna provide as much thrust. It's 36,000. So it only gives like 20,000, okay. But medium steam got some good speeds there, but I do suspect that it's like pretty hard to actually get decent speeds using this. Right now I am suspecting that the only reasonable way to get really good speeds is probably actually to use large steam only. So we're gonna test that with a large gearbox. I don't think we need a lot. From the little Yamato video, we do know that I don't really think we need more than 1 cylinder for this, and it might as well be a parallel. It doesn't need to be a parallel, it can be a serial instead, because we can save some materials that way too, if we would use such a design in a future build. Now we'll just need to remove some blocks here, and that does decrease some weight. So in some sense, it's a little bit unfair, but the weight of the steam engine blocks are really heavy. So I think it kind of balances itself out a little bit in terms like that. Now, and I can show that if we go in here and like load just for fun, take like one of my big steam engines and put it on the side here, you can see it's like tilting. It's pretty heavy. Yeah, we are going to set this thing up here. So there we go. And you are to be here, right? One above. Just the usual, wrong direction. So now I just realized we may have to have a little shaft. And every part we add, we kind of remove some efficiency and stuff, so it's not optimal. But for the sake of not extreme headache, I'm just gonna add one piece there. And you're obviously the wrong direction, because why would it be any other way? RPM 120 here. And we are getting a max thrust, actually, at the set RPM, that is, of course. We're at 20 meters per second. I don't think we can go higher than this. 22, we can. But I suppose we should instead just add the transmission, so we can get some real results. Like that. You are obviously the wrong direction. Steam engines never want to be the right direction. That's something I learned. Like that. Resting drive. So now you are getting a speed like that. Ooh! This obviously needs to be set to no power generation, just in case. Kinetic energy, this one goes up like that, good. We are at the same speed, max thrust, double the gear ratio, and we can see the max thrust increases to 72,000. 32 meters per second. Yeah, that's much better speeds, but I am not certain, but let's see here, the 7-meter one. It's probably where we're going to have the real power. All right. So the like max speed of a certain propeller, it is obviously, it's only probably gonna matter if we use them to speed up a system with other propulsion as well. Going over that will make little sense. But here you can see we have like 46 meters per second. We are a little bit heavy though here. So this is all right. And we're burning 21 materials per second. Yeah, this may not be the most efficient, but I don't know, what do you think? But I think this is obviously the like the best thing to connect to a propeller straight off like this. At least in my guess, this is the only option. Like using the other ones for bigger ships makes no sense. I think perhaps we can have some super small azipods where the engine is built into the azipod. That would be pretty cool with small steam, or perhaps even medium. But, oh my lord, we're going to collide. But for this case, it is not great. Okay. We're going to attempt and set this to... Yeah, look at that. I think this is... Are we going to go aground anyways? Probably. Well, anyways, extra configuration. And the Sheriff uses such a system to steer side to side the really big air battleship, if you are wondering. That's probably something that we should add to the Yamato as well. I saw it suggested in the comments, and that might be good to have some extra maneuverability as well. We can just add such a system. I have it pre-saved, so it's really easy. Look at that. Well, this is obviously the best way to set these up. Then we know. The speed advantage we can get from the other systems are mostly theoretical. Practically making them, you know, I guess it could be possible maybe to get them up to a higher RPM or something like this, but the top speed of each of these systems is like 80 meters per second anyways. Perhaps we can like boost it with some steam jets. Maybe that's where we could do any type of boost like that. I don't know, but by all reason, we should be able to add a couple of these. Here, like paste and paste. And there we go. Now we can help it gain a little speed. Maybe not very efficient, but it goes faster. Well, hello. I hope you did enjoy this little video. We're gonna end it now, so thanks a lot for watching. I will be seeing you in future videos, so make sure you stay tuned. This is your host, Eric of Gmodism. I'm signing out, and remember to check out the links and join the Ecclesiarchy or the Army of Gmodism as an officer if you wanna support the channel. In any case, see you next time. Bye bye.